Greetings and welcome to episode 168 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for words about games. And I did that intro really quickly so I could catch Keith goofing around in the intro of the podcast. I'm your host, Amy Alexander, and I am joined this week by Keith Robinson. I'm pointing, but my arm's off screen.
I have not yet melted.
We're good. It started raining yesterday. The temperature didn't come down at all, but it started raining.
Yeah, boy howdy. At least it's no longer a dry heat. Wait.
Now it's a wet heat. Which is bad. Which is probably bad. It feels bad.
At least you don't have to go out in the garden and try and dig stuff up because everything is still soaking wet.
Yeah, it's still raining. Like it's still raining. Like the weather is really bad, and like we're just like, lol, it's really hot, but like I mean, obviously it's a really serious worldwide issue.
Yeah,
that's causing this, but at the same time, like we're processing this by going, fucking Jesus Christ, I'm gonna melt. Like,
yeah. On the one hand, the Arctic Circle is literally on fire. On the other hand, I am sticking to all of my work clothes because our uniform was designed for British weather, say 10 years ago, as opposed to global warming British weather, where it's like, oh, hang on a second.
Oh my god, I'm dying. Yeah. I was lying yesterday at the big TV setup with YouTube. I was watching that God of War documentary, Raising Kratos, and I was literally lying with the window completely open just underneath it to get the breeze onto me. Just like...
Yeah.
Oh. And people will say, oh, you're a hypocrite, I bet you complain when it's cold. No, I don't. I like it when it's cold. It's a lot easier to warm up than it is to cool down. Put on a jacket, climb under a duvet, fine. This wasn't the ramble I wanted to do when we started this podcast.
No, but it's the ramble
we've got. Keith, I've rage quit my second game of 2019.
Oh my.
I was like, fuck you, fuck this, fuck everything, and I just turned it off. Like, I wasn't happy. It's not great.
For the audience? What was the game?
Wolfenstein, the new Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah. It was okay. Like I think I've played about 4 or 5 hours of it now, probably more. Because I was basically playing it all morning, and afternoon, like literally until about 20 minutes ago. Yeah, it's done some stuff that isn't executed well, but the shooting was still fun, so still having a good time. And then the whole thing of the game is you've got to go and like essentially assault these 3 towers with these like 3 brothers. It's like brother 1, brother 2, and brother 3. And I got to the brother 2, which was the first one I did. Don't ask. And like because I found the entrance and I was like, oh, I'll go in. Like, oh, blah blah blah. I did the thing and I was like, I'm the correct recommended level to do this, so I'll do it because I'm here. Like, I might as well. And then that's one of the brothers knocked over. So you go into the tower, you find the entrance, you get in. There's an entire like vertical section you've got to shoot your way through, and then you go through the garage if you're American, and you sneak around that, go up into a place, and then you've got to blow some stuff up, go through, and there's a reason I'm telling you all this. You can blow some stuff up to make a bridge to go through the thing, and then you do another section, and then you go up an elevator, and then you do another section, and then you go up another elevator, and then you do some platforming, and you're at the top, and then you get to the boss fight. And then I did the boss fight, and it was really difficult, and I died. Where do you think the game dropped me back off once I was finished with the boss fight and died and had to do it again? Do you think it dropped me off in front of the boss? The fucking beginning of the tower. And I was like, okay, this is shit. This is less than ideal, but you know what? It gives me a chance, because this has got RPG mechanics now. It gives me a chance to level up, because there was an ability I wanted, which let me pick up and keep heavy weapons. So I'll level up, because I leveled up like 2 levels on my way at the top. That's how fucking long this entire section was. It's like, if I level up again, I'll get this thing, I'll get some heavy weapons, I'll upgrade them, because I've got loads of coins, and then I'll be able to do the boss fight. So I go through the whole thing again, get my thing. I've got this cool laser cannon thing. It makes this really awesome like noise. It's fantastic. Get to the top. The fucking boss has scaled in level to my level. It's just as difficult. I get fucking murdered again when he's got like this much fucking health left. And then I'm at the bottom of the tower again. I was like, fuck this. And I turned it off. And I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to go back to
it. Just to remind me, the other game that you rage quit this year, was that another Bethesda game? Oh, wait, no, that was the end of last year.
The last game, well, I've rage quit 2 games so far in 2019. Obviously, Wolfenstein and Anthem. Anthem is with that whole side quest thing, Trials of the fucking bullshit time waster. Yeah. So that was my Saturday morning / Friday night. Like, I was enjoying this flawed but enjoyable game, and then it was just like, nah, Dark Souls treats me better than this. Like, when a boss stomps me into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
That's how I am. Perfect.
I've recently discovered that you can actually kill the first boss in Dark Souls, the Sanctuary Demon or whatever.
Yeah.
You can actually just kill it in the first encounter.
Yeah.
And I'm not that good.
Well, that's the whole thing with like Bloodborne and Dark Souls and From Software games. It's like you can do anything if you're good enough. Like if you practice enough and if you've got the mechanical skill, like the wolf in Bloodborne, you can beat that thing to death with your fists. Because it's meant to kill you and send you the hunter's dream, but you can kill it. It takes a while, and you've got to be really good at your dodges, but you can kill it. Whereas, like, if you get killed by that boss in Dark Souls, it doesn't send you back half an hour. Like, you're back, and you've got to fight all these fucking Nazis again. And... Anyway. I don't know where I'm up to in this thing. If for everyone that doesn't know about the Words About Gamescast, like Keith here, we discuss 5-star. I'm losing my voice. That was weird.
Yeah.
The rant.
The rant, and then the segue, and the rant again. It just killed you.
This bodes well for an hour-long podcast. We discuss 5 stories centered around what's going on in games, the industry, and gaming culture over the past 7 days before we leave you with a list of games that are coming out over the course of the next 7 days. This week, we discuss a new study that shows 74% of adults have been harassed while playing games online, Google Stadia, and the spooky transition to the cloud, the developers of Raw, the game, not the wrestling, calling out Kickstarter for supposed unprofessional behaviour, yet another pair of Epic Games Store / Steam stories, and an outgoing Creative Assembly community manager calling a dickhead a dickhead. As always, there are timestamps in the description below the video on YouTube, so if you want to watch the whole podcast backwards or you just want to skip to very specific discussions, talking points, you can absolutely do that. Keith, shall we begin?
Yes, AB. We shall be again.
I don't know what that was. I wasn't doing the robot voice, though. I was just doing the arms. Da-na-na-na. It's like, you know how, like...
Let us begin, Dr. Robot, now.
Like, most people, and they, like, do for emphasis, they do the whole, like, embracing the audience. Me, I do the karate chop the audience.
Because you know what your audience is like.
I know, because this is going to be the headline of the podcast. I know what the audience of this episode is going to be like. 74% of adults have been harassed while gaming online, study says. This is from Cecilia D'Anastasio from Kotaku, who writes, a report published Thursday by the century-old civil rights non-profit organisation Anti-Defamation League offers some staggering statistics on the prevalence of trolling, threats, discrimination, and just plain rude name-calling in online gaming. Alongside a survey of over 1,000 people who play games, the ADL also looked at game publishers' moderation of those spaces and found them wanting. Quote, large-scale commercial games have these aspects of their platform that are totally unmoderated spaces, said Daniel Kelly, the Associate Director of ADL Centre for Technology and Science, to Kotaku. We know from places like 4chan or 8chan that unmoderated spaces become toxic. End quote. Understatement. How toxic? Some of the numbers that came from the study conducted in April of this year are mind-boggling. 65% of the players surveyed experienced severe harassment, which includes physical threats, stalking, and sustained harassment while gaming online. 29% said that at some point they had been doxxed as a result of a game, which the study defines as a stranger publishing private information about them. About a third of the LGBTQ players believed that they were harassed because of their sexual orientation. A third of Black or African American people surveyed, as well as a quarter of Latinx and Asian American people, say they think they were harassed because of their ethnicity. Women were the most harassed demographic, probably because women's voices can be identifying in games voice chat, with nearly 40% having reported harassment based on gender. The Anti-Defamation League decided to investigate the problem of online gaming harassment after noticing the relative lack of strong data on it and similar organisations' reluctance to tackle the topic. Quote, "There's a sense that there's a problem here. I'd read about it but hadn't talked to the community. Is this something that had been hyped up in the media and was not real?" End quote. Another thing the ADL found was that not all games are created equal when it comes to harassment in their social spaces. Among the top games that ADL found to foster harassment were Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Overwatch, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and League of Legends. Dota 2 was the top game players said they had stopped playing because they didn't want to deal with others' rude antics. And while 80% of players said they had at some point experienced positive social interactions in a game, with World of Warcraft, Minecraft, and NBA 2K being leaders in happy moments, that number dropped to just 37% when talking about Riot's League of Legends. Kelly said that the games hadn't caught up with other online services in terms of their approach to dealing with harassment. Over the last decade, as social media has become a confluence of big business and mass culture, companies like Facebook and Twitter have begun outright denouncing hate speech and harassment on their platforms. Quote, "There's an expectation that if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, any texting, there's a form of moderation. I was looking at both Fortnite and League of Legends' current policies around harassment and looking at Twitter's in 2006, and they seem to be carbon copies of each other," end quote. While games also include voice chat as well as text, Kelly said that harassment occurred pretty much equally between both methods of communication. I'm going to skip that little paragraph there. Perhaps the most shocking revelation from the report was its findings about how often gamers encounter extremist or white supremacist talk in games. Quote, "Almost a quarter of online multiplayer gamers, 23%, have been invited to discuss or have heard others discussing the superiority of whites and inferiority of non-whites and or white identity / a home for the white race," the study reads. While this result does not necessarily imply that players were being recruited to join a white supremacist organisation in an online game, the prevalence of expressions of white supremacy in online games suggests that this hateful ideology may be normalised in some gaming subcultures. The ADL suggested that the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, the organisation that puts age ratings on video games in the United States, reconsider its rating system. Kelly notes that while the ESRB looks at nudity in a game or the specific types of violence, they don't take into account what players do online. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Oh God.
Our darkest fears are confirmed.
Oh God.
Firstly, I was kind of surprised by how high some of these percentages were in some cases. Like almost a quarter of people who get who game have witnessed people doing white supremacy activities in game. Okay, I was definitely surprised by that one. Not so much by the fact that 75 people have had harassment while being an online playing game, because that can be anything from you're an idiot, you're go get good noob and stuff. But then it gets down. It's some of the other percentages okay, that's really bad. It's the sheer amount of people who've been doxxed. That's incredible. Yeah,
it's staggering. I think.
Yeah,
is a good word to use. Because obviously we've been on the front lines of talking about shit like this for years now, but they always think it's cool. It's a vocal minority of people who are shitheads, but then it's well, yeah, they might be a vocal minority of people who are shitheads, but they're shouting at everybody and they're getting to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Clearly by the numbers that have come up in this study. Yeah, there's some. insane statistics here. Um, like you pointed out, the two biggest sort of crazy ones.
Yeah.
Like 80. So like even you look at something like 80% of players said they had at some point experienced positive social interactions in a game. That means, like, that sounds really good. 80% of people had a positive social interaction in a game. But that means that 20% of the people who were asked have not ever had a positive social interaction in an online video game.
Yeah. See, when it was mentioned this, I was like, okay, so for the last, I don't know, 3 years, the only multiplayer game I actually played Overwatch, and I pretty much do that exclusively with people from Word About Games, unless it's doing like some event-based thing, because I occasionally log in to do that. Yeah, Overwatch is kind of curated and stuff. And yeah, occasionally I have heard people like shout like annoying stuff down that thing, and like I'm trying to remember how to mute people.
Well, I think the ecosystems are different as well. I think on Xbox and PlayStation,
Yeah.
and definitely on Switch, like there's not really it's more common to not voice chat than it is to voice chat. Like most people who are playing multiplayer games, like Overwatch on Xbox, like if we're not talking to each other, we're not talking at all. Like we won't have microphones set up, and most of the people that we encounter don't have microphones set up when we're playing multiplayer games on Xbox. On PC, it's a bit different. Like everybody's like typing away in the chat because keyboard is super easy, and then there's obviously like a lot of people do voice chat because they want to coordinate and stuff like that. But even I only know this because I've watched people play the game, and like I'm on the subreddit for Overwatch because I like to read about the Overwatch League stuff. Overwatch competitive Overwatch subreddit and Overwatch subreddit are two very different like communities as well. It's very strange, and they don't like each other, which is weird as well. But that's a tangent. Like people still send messages over Xbox Live. Like I've still had harassing messages when I've had a shit round in Call of Duty, for example, or like I don't know. Nothing else really, because if I play Overwatch, I'm playing with you.
Yeah.
And the only other multiplayer games I'm playing are games where I'm not in a team. Because partly because shit like this is just like it gets in your head even if you don't. Even if it's very rare, like for me personally, it still gets in my head because it's like. I have social anxiety, and if I'm going to be playing a game of like I never played Rainbow Six Siege, despite tons of people I know who play it and love it and constantly want me to try and play it. Like it's such a skill focused game where like if you fuck up, there's a chance you just fucked up for the entire team. Like I don't want that pressure. Like I can't handle that pressure, and I'm terrified of like being called out like for being terrible at a video game. So I just went. No, I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna skip that. But it's like, it's even things like playing Black Ops 4's multiplayer. It's like I played it for a bit. I was alright at it. I got a message when I had a shitty game and we lost, and I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm gonna go and play Blackout because I can do that solo. And the only person who can make me feel bad about my performance is me.
And anyone watching you on Twitch.
And anyone watching me on Twitch. But my Twitch chat's cool. They know. Like, I don't play Apex unless I'm playing with you and Ross. As much as I really enjoy that game. Like, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I don't even play fucking Wolfenstein. Like, it's a co-op game. I play that by myself. Like, I play that with the AI. I don't play it with someone else. Like, and it's staggering that it's so prevalent, like, in this study. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm necessarily surprised.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. Like, how do you even fix a problem like this? Because, like, one of the notes I wrote was, like, they were talking about, Twitter and Facebook, like, have like, started, like, having tools and reporting things. It's like, if you're being... if you're being compared negatively to the reporting tools of Twitter and Facebook, you have fucked up. Like, you have fucked it. Because, fuck. Like, Twitter is a fucking hell site. And if you're worse than that, which, that's crazy. Fucking unbelievably crazy. It's like, how do you even start? Like, I guess Ubisoft's doing that thing with the AI learning algorithm that we talked about for Rainbow Six a while ago. And just straight up, like, fucking banning people or timing people out for using specific words, which we don't repeat on this podcast. But people always seem to find a way around this shit. The one thing that was interesting, I'm kind of rolling over into a bunch of different points, so if you want to speak at any point, just feel free to do the karate chop, and I'll shut up. The ratings angle was quite interesting, because it's attacking it from a completely different direction, where it's like, okay, like, should online games, if you have an online component where you can communicate with other players, given the nature of the communication between other players, should all games with that component be rated mature or 18 or whatever, like, regardless of their actual content? What do you think?
It's like, you're gonna get so much blowback from games creators. It's like, we've got like a voice chat option. We shouldn't be a mature rated game because that's instantly gonna like alienate part of our audience, even though it's totally not going to alienate their audience because no one paints a blind pit of difference, it appears. There's a rating on the back of a on the back of a game.
Oh, 100%. Like, people are still bad at shit, but like, maybe then, like, I mean, but maybe then you could use that as sort of the thing to say, well, then fucking moderate. Like, we've just been through this on the podcast. Was it last week, or was it the one before Patrick? You and Patrick did one with Mordhau, where it's like they have an unmoderated space. It's full of racism. Like,
yep, and yep.
Like, if the report hits the nail on the head. I mean, they say it it appears as if, but when it's actually true, if you have an unmoderated space and a bunch of gamers in that unmoderated space, it's not gonna be good. Mordhau is just the perfect example of it. Is there anything we can do apart from disabling messaging and turning off all of our fucking headsets?
Just have to go for the Counter-Strike sort of thing where you start timing people out and stuff for saying certain things, but then that isn't ever losing like an ongoing thing. It's like we start going to several snip of like the dark arts. It's always evolving, it's always changing. You must always sort of cut off one head, two more will rise. Sort of shit.
Oh god, it's like a hydra of people.
Yeah, it's like Hydra, but you can't just walk up behind someone and go, "Hail Hydra," to find out they're bad. You just stick them on a games console for a few hours and see what they do.
5 minutes. Just stick them in a match of Fortnite for 10 minutes and I guarantee you'll find out. They'll have a heated gamer moment. And it'll be pretty obvious. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's much of a discussion to be had about this, apart from, like, sort of, here's a spotlight, here's a really bad thing.
Yeah.
we need to solve this, and it sucks. And we should start a positivity gaming group. I don't know. There's probably already loads of them, but I feel they need to do something, even though I know there's nothing I can do, and I hate that. Shall we move on?
Let's move on. That's what we can do.
Moving to the cloud is scary, Google Stadia director says, deflecting shutdown concerns. This is from Alice O'Connor over at Rock Paper Shotgun, who writes, asked in a Q&A session on Reddit last Thursday what would happen to people's purchase games if Google discontinued Stadia, Andre Doronichev, Google Stadia product director, gave a pretty poor and patronising response. I forgot I left this sentence in. I'll wham you the whole thing because oh no, scary clouds. It's like something Patrick would write. And also, quote, we get this a lot. I hear you. Moving to the cloud is scary. I felt the same way when music was transitioning from files to streaming. I still have all my old CDs in the garage, although it's hard to find a CD player these days. Smiley face. The same thing happened to movies and photos and my docs and other files. And it's great. Games are no different. Eventually, all of our games will be safely in the cloud too, and we'll feel great about it. It's a fucking brainwashing exercise. We've been investing a ton in tech infrastructure and partnerships over the past few years.
Allegedly.
Nothing in life is certain, but we're committed to making Stadia a success. The games you buy on Stadia are yours to play. From day one, we'll support takeout so that you can download your game metadata, including saves if you want to. Of course, it's okay to doubt my words. There's nothing I can say now to make you believe if you don't. But what we can do is to launch the service and continue investing in it for years to come. Exactly how we've been doing with Gmail, docs, music, movies, and photos. That's exactly what we're committed to. End quote. As much as Google are trying to take over our entire digital lives, each of their products is but a small part of their plan. They're quite willing to shut down and abandon products if they don't work out, because they have loads of others to rely on, they can afford to, and they may well try launching another similar product later anyway. The Google graveyard currently lists 171 apps, services, and lumps of hardware as killed by Google. I feel like you could go through almost sentence by sentence and just be like, this is why you're wrong, or this is why, like, people are concerned and you're ignoring, like there's a ton of stuff. You pick first. Where are we going first? Where should we go first?
So, it's just like, it's like everything's moving in the cloud. We're moving away from physical objects and stuff. It's like, you get your movies, you get your music, everything's in the cloud. And it's like, you can't even find CD players. Yes, you can. You can very easily find CD players. And as much as I play like digital music on the way to work and stuff, and I like download like music, I buy off the iTunes store and stuff.
But that's different.
Yeah,
you're buying off the iTunes store. You're not relying on a cloud.
Yeah.
So even that's
I don't have Apple Music for many reasons. One of them is the worry that it would all disappear one day.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I do have Google Play, and he specifically mentions, we were all scared when we moved over to music streaming. Here's the thing: when I pay $9.99 a month for Google Play. Mm-hmm. I don't pay like £10 for every new album that I want to listen to. I'm paying for access to a library. If that access disappeared, I haven't lost anything. I've lost the ability to stream music. Cool. I'll get a Spotify subscription or a Deezer or YouTube, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't lost a bunch of access to a bunch of music that I purchased. It's a completely different scenario. And yeah, CD players still exist. People fucking still. We were talking about this just before the podcast started. Like, vinyl's a thing again. But you can take it even further. Like, people buy Blu-rays. Blu-rays is still a huge thing. Like, they're still right there at the front of the supermarket, and people still buy, and they still put them in the fucking games consoles so that the people can use the whole ecosystem as one sort of thing. And people still download books to their fucking tablets and e-readers and Kindles or whatever. Like,
but they still buy books.
And people still even buy books. Bookshops still exist, and they're still doing quite well. Like, even his Google Docs fucking argument is complete nonsense, because most people still use Microsoft Office. And they don't use it in the cloud. They save files to their hard drive. Like, even if Google Docs, I have a lot of shit on Google Docs. We use Google Docs. I mean, we're using it right now. Like, even if Google Docs was like, we're going to shut Google Docs down tomorrow, cool. I'm still going to be able to download all of my shit and back it up. And then, I don't know, I guess I'll have to get a Microsoft Office thing. Like, it's such a dumb fucking like approach to it. Because if you pay $60 for, let's say, Doom, because that's going to be a thing, right? Mm-hmm. Doom Eternal. And you've paid $60 for it, and then like in a year, Google Stadia gets shut down because it wasn't making any money and no one was using it. Well, I can get my save file. Okay. What about the game I bought? What about the game I bought? Because you're not paying to own the game. You're paying to have access to the game on their servers. And if they shut their servers down, you don't have access to the game anymore. And that was why the question was asked.
Yeah.
And that was why his response is infuriating. Like, you hit the nail on the head with the well, where should we start? Let's start with the most infuriating part first. Good job, Keith. Good call.
Yeah.
Like, Stadia gets less and less appealing every time Google opens their mouths to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, they were talking recently about, we don't want to be the Netflix of games. Then what's the point of you? What's the point? Anybody who has fast enough internet in their home, chances are they've already got a games console. Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Or a gaming PC rig. Well, some reason why they have super fast internet.
Yeah. Because you don't need that to run Netflix.
No, you don't. Like, because there's no input. There's no reason to have the fast upload speed.
Yeah.
Like, you're just watching something. Like, I couldn't think of it's Stranger Things. Why did it take me so long to think of a Netflix series? I'm just watching Stranger Things. Like, the target audience for this, like, the people who would probably benefit the most from it, aren't going to want it. Or aren't going to have the internet infrastructure to play it. I read a thing on Twitter. It was completely unrelated to this, but somebody retweeted it. It was like, a really large percentage of American households don't even have broadband. Like, never mind, like, fiber or, like, fast internet connection. Like, it was something like, I think it was like 27% of American households just don't have broadband.
Well, there is a massive inequality between rich and poor in America.
In the world.
They do refer to, like, some areas of, like, New York and stuff as the ghettos. And if you remember what ghettos were and stuff, that kind of tells you a lot about the situation for people in those areas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it was just I just randomly came to mind while we were talking about, like, internet infrastructure. Like, I mean, the other one, I mean, there's tons of parts that you could pick apart of this conversation. Let's talk about all of the products that Google supported over the course of the years, because the day they announced Stadia, the very same day, I got an email telling me if I had anything important on Google Plus, that I would need to download it or back it up because they were deleting Google Plus.
Yeah. Timing!
And that was the 171st thing that Google has abandoned. Like, I don't think, like, skepticism, like, the way they're treating the skepticism is, no, you're just going to have to trust us. We're definitely going to follow through on this. It's like, I have 171 reasons why I don't trust you. And you're not saying, like, anything to make me feel better about it. I mean,
at this point, it does kind of sound like they'll do it for a year or so and then it'll just go. Because they're not really showing us, like, a business plan. Some of the stuff they're saying is just such blue sky thinking that we're looking at what you need to run these things, the amount of money you need to get it to run properly. Their market is just continually shrinking. And they're trying to break into a market which is already saturated with gaming consoles. And PC, which is what they're basically trying. They're trying to be another version of PC, really.
They're trying to be a super cheap version of a PC. I'll tell you what, if they do stick with it, like, because game streaming has a big future. It does, just maybe not yet. Like, I look at xCloud, like, just to, like, flip it completely, like Project xCloud, Microsoft's xCloud, like, even if that doesn't take off when it comes out, Microsoft are going to stick with it, like, for the long haul. Like, I'm confident that they're going to do that. And in the long term, like, getting in now and then having it in, say, 5 years' time, like, they're going to reap massive benefits from already having this service open, because I think in about 5 to 10 years' time, it's gonna be a big thing. Like, it's not going to be the only feature of gaming. Like, that's absurd, and anyone that thinks that it's just going to be streaming and nothing else is peddling the same shit that was peddled right before PS4 and Xbox One came out, that this was going to be the last console generation because consoles were dying. Like, people make these grand proclamations a lot, but basically, if Google stick with it, they're going to have a hit on their hands. But they don't stick with things that have difficult beginnings. And that's where people's concerns come from. That's where my concerns come from. I mean, I say concerns. I don't really give a shit. I'm not getting Google Stadia. Like, I'm not, like, I'll get a console because I'm that kind of gamer. I'm the kind of gamer that's going to keep the consoles alive. Like, I'm going to be in that subset of a group. Like, I need physical media to survive for as long as possible so I can keep renting it. Because otherwise gaming becomes extortionately, prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, the only things you'll be playing are the things that go into Game Pass.
I could be a Game Pass reviewer.
You certainly could.
Have you seen Game Pass? It's great. I just got a notification this morning, like, Killer Instinct just went in. Resident Evil 4 just went in. Like, it's got some fucking good shit in there. All the Tomb Raiders are in there. I think we might be done. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not on that one. It's fairly self-explanatory. It's an answer to a question that isn't really answering the question.
Or understand. Like, I mean, Andre
I'm sure
understands the question.
There's no that they can't answer it.
Yeah. I mean, you can't answer it, right? Because the answer is, what happens to my games? Well, one of two things. One, you lose access to all of your games. Or two, we have a system where, you know, if we pull the plug, you'll be able to download all your games. And they can't say either of those things. Because if they say the first one, massive PR disaster will probably sink Stadia before it even comes out. And if they say the second one, everyone will just go, well, why can't you just turn that on now so I can download my game? PR. It's a fucking nightmare. Not a lot of good PR people, though. So I don't want to say that PR is terrible. Just that it's...
Because we say that a lot in this.
It can be very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Let's move on. Raw developers called Kickstarter Unprofessional plan an IndieGoGo campaign next month. This is from Lauren Morton over at PC Gamer. It's a story I didn't put in the notes a couple of weeks ago, and now it's come back around. And I was like, fuck it, it's a slow news week, we're going to talk about this. On July 15th, a day before its Kickstarter campaign would have closed with $191,429 pledged, over double its asked for funding, GTA Online-like sandbox game Raw's campaign was suspended. Raw had broken Kickstarter's honesty and transparency requirements by writing in a project FAQ that the game could not be completed with money asked for, could not be completed with the money asked for during the campaign and would require additional funds later. The developers are now headed to IndieGoGo, a funding platform with fewer restrictions, to raise the $300,000 they think it will take to release Raw in early access. During its Kickstarter campaign, Raw faced plenty of criticism from streamers and Redditors who suggested that it was far too ambitious for an indie team. KillOL, the studio of two, insists that Raw does have the features promised in the sleek announcer voiceover from its trailer. Quote, Raw has been in development for 2.5 years and most systems are already finished, end quote. That was an email at PC Gamer. Here are some of the features. Buy land and build your own house. Purchase whole islands. Buildings and stores constructed by players cost resources and run out of supplies over time. A real-life based work and contract system to help you gain a stable income. Service equipment and work vehicles with work privileges. Make private contracts with other players or execute high-risk state contracts. Become major and expand or improve infrastructure. Sounds Riveting. That's just the highlights from the 2 minutes of Raw's 5-minute trailers. Yeah, I don't know. I'll get into that when we finish reading. Blah, blah, blah. It sounds like Grand Theft. Blah. Here we go. The quote. Quote, unfortunately, the majority of streamers and commentators have no experience in game development. Killer Whale says of everyone who has doubted they can pull it off. As for getting booted from Kickstarter, Raw's developers say that it was very, quote, it was very unprofessional from Kickstarter to close our entire campaign without any warnings, end quote. Given that Raw had already hit its funding goal and was only a day from a successful campaign, perhaps Killer Whale did deserve some communication, but it did clearly violate Kickstarter's rules, which state that campaigns must ask for the amount of money they need to complete the project. Raw's developers said explicitly that they would need money outside of Kickstarter. Killer Whale believes that Kickstarter's mandate that projects be entirely funded on its platform is, quote, just another barrier for creators, end quote. Kickstarter's all-or-nothing funding model can put creators who nearly miss their funding goal in the unfortunate position of having spent time and money on running a campaign that they get no return from, but it also protects backers by ensuring they aren't charged if the creators don't raise the funds they say they need to deliver what's promised. And then it's about IndieGoGo. So, thoughts?
Yeah, I do have thoughts on this. I mean, first off, and randomly, yeah, most YouTubers in the comments don't know how you can build game development off the top of the head, but still, you can legitimately look at something and go, that seems really ambitious or far too ambitious for what you're suggesting, and for him to be concerned about only being 2 people working on a game of a big scope, it's fair for them to say that.
It's the tone of the message.
Looking at the list of stuff Star Citizen promised in its Kickstarter.
Yeah, I don't need to be a game dev to know that game, to be feature complete, to the features that they said, is, I mean, I might see it in my lifetime. We'll see. But
yeah, I mean, we did cover a year ago, the list of things that hadn't come out yet.
There was a Star Citizen news story about an update, and I didn't click on it because I thought if I click on it, I'm going to read it, and then we're going to put it in, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm clean, man. I'm clean. Yeah. I mean, my thought on this is very simple. You can't ask for $100,000 from crowdfunding if you need 300 grand to make a game. That's not how crowdfunding should work. You can't do that, because then if a bunch of people give you 200k and then you turn around a couple of years down the line and say, oh, we couldn't get the additional funding, so there's going to be no game.
Yeah.
Or there's going to be a game, but it's not going to be what we promised. I mean, you must, as the developers, I would hope, you must see why you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's called a scam.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing unforeseen costs and stuff, but yeah.
That's a completely different thing. If Shenmue 3 signed its deal with the Epic Games Store, the exclusivity deal, because I imagine because they needed more money to delay the game to get it polished to the correct standard. Even though it was on Kickstarter, that's unforeseen. As a person who backed Shenmue 3 on Kickstarter, I'm totally fine with that, because it means the game comes out. But this is the opposite.
I'm thinking of Mighty 9 there for a second.
Backed that as well, didn't I? Fuck.
Yeah.
If you run into an unforeseen problem, I'm totally cool and I'm totally understanding. I have no problem with a Kickstarter campaign that then goes and seeks out additional funding, or goes and seeks out a publisher. That's cool. As long as it wasn't, we're going to get this money to make the first part of the game, and then if we don't get this additional funding, it's over. That's fucked. That's a fucked up thing to do. There's ways of going about it, and the fact that they're going to go over to IndieGoGo because it's got a flexible funding thing, so they're just going to get all the money that they get on IndieGoGo no matter what. That's a red flag. Even if I was interested in Raw and had backed it in the first instance, them going to IndieGoGo would just be and saying, well, it's flexible funding and we need all this extra money that we might not get. It's I'd be like,
Kickstarter yourself down.
I'd be like, dude, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna touch this.
I don't know why it took Kickstarter so long for it to realize. I don't know. Maybe they only check a bit like Steam what's going up like low before it goes on. But
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
imagine they get a lot of stuff going in.
yeah,
It might have just been a case that they were reviewing something because it was nearly finished and it was successful, so they were gonna have to obviously like get the money to Killer Whale, and then they might have gone through the FAQ and just gone, hang on a minute. Someone might have reported it. Like for all we know, that someone reported it and they were looking into it, and then they found it and they went, okay, we'll take this down. This definitely breaks our terms of service.
Yeah.
I mean, if you break the terms of service of a company's website, don't they? Like, they're not acting unprofessionally.
Yeah, like you knew going in here that there was a chance that they would take you down straight away.
Yeah.
And you almost got to the finish line, and you're like, "We've made it." And it's like, no, the next close it down because you did something that you knew that you couldn't. I mean, I'm assuming that you researched the Kickstarter terms and conditions.
Yeah, I was about to say, or you just didn't read it. You
did read it like. I mean, it sucks for them, but yeah, they can't complain too much about it because they knew when they created the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Or should have done.
Well, they should have known. Like if you don't read the terms of service of the thing that you sign up for, and I'm guilty of this, I do it all the time. Like, but if you then break those terms of service,
yeah,
like ignorance isn't a defense. That's on you for not reading the terms of service. Yeah. And if you even try to get away with it, then you almost got there, but not quite. I don't know. Like, I feel like in a year, like we're gonna be like seeing this pop back up on PC Gamer of just like, oh, the game never got finished, or oh, there's an issue with something like funding or something like that, and they've scaled it back, and it's not quite what it. There was a whole like thing about there was a whole thing in the story written as it was written that speculated on like more on the ability of the developers and what they were doing and how the trailers looked. I didn't want to get into that because I don't know the game well enough. And Killer Whale's right, I don't know that much about game development. Like, hey, maybe you've done a miracle and like this game does look awesome. Like I don't know. Like I'm not gonna doubt your ability. I'm just doubting your ability to put together a crowdfunding campaign. Keith, should we check in with the Epic Games Store and Steam? So I don't know versus. I didn't put versus. Well, so here's the backstory. You linked this story, the first story, to me.
Yeah. On
Facebook Messenger, and I was like, "It's a slow news week. I'll find some room to put it in," and I put it in, and I thought it's going to be about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Has something else been going on that I can add to this? Because when we do like Epic Games, like we usually do like 2 or 3 things at once, all we do. Yeah. And then I went and I was like, "Is there anything else I can counterbalance this with?" And I was going through some websites, and I went to gamesindustry.biz, and I read the headline, and I was like, "Wow. Yeah, there's definitely something we can counterbalance this with." Yeah. So here's part 1. MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries delayed to December, now Epic Games Store exclusive. This is from Charlie Hall over at Polygon, who writes, "The launch of MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, the first-person simulator-style combat game set in the Battletech universe, has been delayed once more. According to yesterday's announcement, Mercenaries will now launch on December 10th as an Epic Games Store exclusive for a period of 1 year. Fans upset about either the delay or the shift from Valve's Steam Marketplace are being directed to an FAQ document for instructions on how to request a refund. Mercenaries was originally slated to launch sometime in 2018. In December of that year, the team pushed it back to September 2019. In last week's announcement, the team at Piranha says it now needs an additional few months to put considerable more quality into the game, whilst also giving us the time needed to localize to other languages to put considerable effort into marketing the game's release. The deadline for requesting a refund is September 1st. This is all you, buddy.
Right, so the reason I even found out about this is because there's currently a Kickstarter, the tabletop game of Battletech, which I was looking at because they offered me more Battletech novels. Anyway, what's the notice about that? In one of the stretch goals, because they've hit $1 million US dollars, $1 million in 3 days, was nice. that they would get Piranha, who does MechWarrior Online and who was making MechWarrior 5, off of all of the models and stuff that they've done, and they've allowed other games like BattleTech, the video game, to use the models for the mechs. They're going to get them into, and they're going to have a play of the game and stuff. If they reach, I think it's 1,250,000 is the stretch goal. So you'll get an earlier look at the MechWarrior 5's game. You'll have the devs of the tabletop game and just waving at each other. And MechWarrior 5, having a chat and stuff. You'll be quite informal and stuff. Then normal sort of stick. But then people started complaining and saying that this goal should be stripped out because of the dishonorable conduct of Piranha Games.
Jesus Christ! Tell me it wasn't dishonorable. Tell me dishonorable wasn't the word that was used.
Dishonorable, yes, is the terms that was used. And there was a bit of a kick-up about this to begin with, but a lot of people did come back with you can get full refunds, and if, as they've said, if you've bought because the pre-orders have been up for a year, if you pre-ordered the game, you get X amount of in-game currency for MechWarrior Online or skins or stuff and stuff. This could be up to $300 worth of free stuff for the MechWarrior Online game, and they've said even if you cancel the pre-order, you can still keep all of that stuff. So a lot of people aren't seeing as much of an issue around that, but it's sort of this whole idea of honor that you offered Steam keys for this game and stuff, which is a bit odd because MechWarrior Online has its own launcher and came to Steam afterwards. But whatever. It's people seem to be seeing this as a sort of honor thing. A couple of people have mentioned it's but Steam's got all of these sort of things that you can do which Epic Store can't. That you've got forums and communities and stuff. And it's well, yeah, but you've got MechWarrior Online has forums and it isn't anything to do with the Steam site. And as for the workshop community, there's been nothing said as far as I'm aware of MechWarrior 5 allowing user-made content to be modded into the game.
Well, it's a separate slope of their online game.
Yeah.
Because they could be balanced and things or whatever.
Well, yeah, those MechWarrior 5 is just it's all the mechs and it's all of the assets that they have for MechWarrior Online, but they've actually put a story into it. So you're not just two robots or 8 robots facing off against each other.
Rock'em sock'em robots.
Well, that's basically what MechWarrior Online is. It's 8 people on one side, 8 people on another side, and you just run at each other.
Battle Royale.
12v12.
Did you back this Kickstarter? Was it a Kickstarter? Wasn't it? Was it?
The Kickstarter has absolutely nothing to do with MechWarrior 5.
Right.
It was just a stretch goal to get the devs of MechWarrior 5 to come in and show off the game.
So it's just so MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. That's just pre-orders, right? So it's not a Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because you've got Paradox who made BattleTech game, MechWarrior Online, who's made by Piranha, who has shared the models for free, of all of the robots and stuff, most of which is based on the stuff made in 1970s.
I believe you'll find that they're called mechs.
Yes, they're the people that are allowed to legally call them mechs because they trademarked it. Battle mechs or Omni-mechs, depending which ones you're looking at.
Okay.
But there's this whole weird thing with Harmony Gold in the background.
Okay.
That's a deep dive.
One day we'll do this, and you can teach me all about BattleTech.
Or just the Harmony Gold stuff. It makes Konami look saintly compared to what they do with.
I doubt it.
All
right. I thought this was a Kickstarter. So that makes my my opinion of anyone who's complaining about this, even lower, because I was it's not even a Kickstarter. They just pre-ordered a game. One, don't pre-order games, you fucking morons. And two,
the pre-order content for MechWarrior 5 was extensive, but that's because the MechWarrior Online model is to basically pre-order different mechs and stuff, and you get a bonus for doing so because it's a free-to-play game. So of course the pre-orders for the game would be massive.
Game, yep, sure. Pre-ordering a free-to-play, that makes perfect sense to me. Just don't pre-order the game. There's your problem solved. Also, Epic are going to foot the bill for any of the refunds. There's your problem solved. They're acting dishonorably. Do you know what probably happened? I just mentioned it actually in the last thing about Shenmue 3. What probably happened is, shit, we are fucked up. Like, this, I'm paraphrasing a board meeting. We fucked up. Like, the game isn't going to be ready for September. September. Like, we need to polish it. Like, we need to market it. Like, do we have any much budget left? Like, we can get, like, to October, maybe? No, that's not enough time. Crap, what are we going to do? Here comes Epic Games. Here's some money.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Piranha's making MechWarrior Online. They've been doing it for years. People are dropping off. People are spending less money on it because it's a free-to-play game. Like, oh, we can use the assets that we've got for this game to make MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. That'll be really cool. It'll be a lot less work. We just need to get the story and stuff done. Costs overrun, or maybe they can't use as much money from MechWarrior Online as they can. Epic realizes this, goes over and goes, hey, money, come to us. And then
come to us, finish the game, polish it.
Game. Yeah.
Like, if the game had come out in September, it didn't have this deal, and it came out on Steam in September, it would have been a worse game. Like, more than likely. Just because of, like, polish and stuff. Like, I'm not throwing shit at the game on it.
One of the big things to say is localization in other languages, which is probably not going to be a big issue for English speakers of the game, but it would be for others.
And like,
I imagine
it's a fucking storefront. Like, why do people give a shit about forums and shit? Like,
yeah,
user reviews. Like, user reviews are fucking useless. Like,
speaking of that wonderful segue, Amy, about user reviews.
Part 2. Joke game removed from Steam after offering bribes to customers. This is from Hayden Taylor over at gamesindustry.biz, who writes, Valve has removed a game from Steam after the developers began offering bribes in exchange for reviews. Cyberpunk 2069, a one-note joke game from developer Cyberpath, was available to buy on Steam until very recently. The game's store page description was altered numerous times according to SteamDB, but Valve eventually shut it down for breaching Steam's policy on bribery. As reported by PC Gamer, it was ultimately removed after changing its description to the following, quote, Thanks to everyone who bought this joke game before 7/22/2019. Each of you will receive a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 as a Christmas present. The funniest review will win a collector's edition, end quote. Players who bought the game report the executable keeps running after the game is closed, possibly in an attempt to avoid refunds by inflating playtime beyond the 2-hour limit set by Valve. So, like, I get that it can be annoying to have your library of PC games spread across 2 different launchers, like Steam and Epic. And I get that there are some features that Steam has that Epic doesn't. But Keith, whenever we have sat down to talk about Epic games, the Epic Games Store, usually the exclusivities or something that someone has said about the exclusivities, I've always tried to counterbalance that with a story about Steam. Just to, like, so we're talking about both things. Have I ever failed to find a story within a minute? No, I have not. Has that story ever been positive? No. In fact, they're getting more bizarre. Like, it took me 90 seconds from finishing pasting all of the stuff together for the MechWarrior story to go to a website, scroll down, find a story about Steam, and it turns out it's about fucking bribery. Like, bribing people for reviews with a copy of fucking Cyberpunk 2077, the collector's edition.
Yeah. So I don't have as much of a problem about Steam in this story than you do.
I don't have a problem with Steam, but I have a problem with... Right. Think of it like an onion. It's got all these layers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not the one thing. It's the addition of everything that we've been talking about for the past 3 years.
Well, it's 5 years and nothing good happened, I guess. It's like... all I know about the story is what this article said, because I'd never heard of it.
Oh, I have no idea.
But I mean, I do have concerns about the fact they kept running the background, because I do remember that I mean, part of that is a great way to get malware and cryptocurrency miners onto your computer if you log into like a joke game like to hope to get like a funny review enough to have a chance at winning something. But yeah, it's like I'm looking at this and I'm remembering that there was a game which was removed from Steam because it was just a front for mining cryptocurrency. It was a very basic looking game which was taking up so much of the computer hard drives that people here and their fans almost dying.
Yeah, let me scroll.
But I'm glad Valve has got a policy about this sort of stuff. I'm surprised they had one.
Does it have a policy, or did they just remove the game because people noticed?
Apparently, like, it removes things from trying to bribe people, which I'm probably thinking dates back to the green light that Steam has a policy about trying to bribe people for reviews and stuff. It'll probably date back to green light.
I think that might have been. I think that might have been a thing we covered, actually. There was a bribery scandal.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't one. It was all of them. Yeah, I remember, actually. Someone did a thing about all the different ways people were bribing to get past Steam Greenlight. I remember now. Keith, I want to read this is going to sum up why... and again, I'm not rooting for one company to win over another. They're companies. They're not my friend.
As much as they may claim to be at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
That was intentional, mate.
I just want to read a sentence from the first story.
Mm-hmm.
That will sum up my feelings on Steam perfectly. From Daniel Kelly, Associate Director of ADL Centre for Technology and Society, who said, "We know from places like 4chan or 8chan that unmoderated spaces become toxic." Well, guess what? Steam is a hugely unmoderated space.
Yeah.
I brought up a story about bribery, which in and of itself isn't actually that bad and doesn't have anything to do with Steam, really. Steam didn't publish or release the game, but they did allow it onto their storefront.
To be fair...
And in the course of this, we have mentioned several other Steam-related scandals.
Just to back Valve up for a second, it was removed after the game's description was changed to what was basically a bribe for good reviews. When it first went up, it probably had a very normal-looking description of the game, as opposed to, hey, give us good reviews.
But this is the consequence. This is the consequence of having a completely open storefront where you let just about anything go. That isn't trolling or hate speech. No, trolling or illegal. They allow hate speech. Sorry, God, what am I thinking? This is how it goes. You can't be surprised when people start calling you out for shit like that. And I'm gonna keep calling them out for shit like that because they're fucking garbage. And that's where I stand on the issue, on Steam and the Epic Games Store. I have no doubt why Epic Games is doing the whole let's get all the exclusivity thing going. They can say it's because they want to create a better, wider PC marketplace where all the developers can roll around in fields of cash from their much better revenue split. They just want to dominate it. I'm well aware of that. But right now, they're a better alternative to Steam. And when they're all shit, you take the least shit option. Speaking of shit, shall we do our last news story?
I was just thinking of the lesser of two evils. But yeah,
I mean, it is the lesser of two evils. It's pretty much exactly what I was driving at. Number 5, Total War community manager ends final stream by calling YouTuber a dickhead. This is from Fraser Brown over at PC Gamer, who writes, "This week, Total War community manager Michael Whelan ended his final stream and last day at Creative Assembly with a message for a YouTuber. Quote, Arch Warhammer is a dickhead. Goodbye. End quote. Creative Assembly released a statement on Twitter today apologising for Whelan's comment, saying it was not up to the developers' professional or personal standards. Quote, we apologise for any hurt or harm caused. End quote. Arch Warhammer is a strategy YouTuber who also appears to go off on tangents about SJWs ruining games and censorship in Total War. Because that's the thing. In his own video, which inaccurately portrays Whelan's insult as an official Creative Assembly statement, Arch Warhammer claims that he triggered Creative Assembly by criticising their curation of Total War mods. Creative Assembly removes mods that are designed to provoke, intimidate, or antagonise other groups, reference other IP, or create content of a sexual nature. The last one has upset modders, wanting to sex up Three Kingdoms and turn female warlords into waifus. Some players, like Arch Warhammer, reckon that's censorship. While lamenting Whelan's lack of professionalism, Arch Warhammer's video partner calls him a shill, trying to impress girls by virtue signalling. Ah yes, the language of professionals. Thoughts?
I mean, it sounds like this guy doesn't want to be a community manager anymore. I know he's quitting one job, but it does sound like he's not going to another part of the industry.
I'll be honest, if he's going to deal with dickheads like Arch Warhammer, and I just called him a dickhead. I did it on purpose. It was a bit.
Yeah.
But if I had to deal with dickheads
at the very
like
start
that...
of this show, I will recall you said that like, people calling dickheads.
Like, if I had to deal with that shit, I wouldn't want to be a community manager in video games anymore. Fuck that. It's censorship. It's censorship. What's censorship? Holy shit, censorship? What's being censored? It's they're not letting us turn the female generals into waifus in Three Kingdoms. Censorship. What? Get a grip. Get a grip.
This reminds me, and this is going to be a slight tangent of someone having an argument with Nick Gaiman, one of the authors of Good Omens.
Neil Gaiman. Sorry,
Neil Gaiman.
Correct.
I don't know why I said Neil Gaiman. About the relationship between Crawley and Netherfield in the film.
I've seen this.
And this person was so into the fact that these two characters must have been like in a relationship. It was shouting at like Neil Gaiman, who was engaging with them for some reason on Twitter, about them not having this like scene where they hold hands or kiss. It's like, fine if it's your headcanon that those two are in a relationship, that's fine. From the book, it totally doesn't come off like that. They are just mates. In the adaptation, I can't see it.
Mates.
Yeah. In the adaptation, mostly the way like Azathoth is played, but a little bit with Crowley. I can totally see like it could possibly going that way because it David Tennant is kind of flirtatious just in general. The way he like played the Doctor
it's called chemistry. Actors occasionally have it with each other.
But it's like you're shouting at the creators of something for them not engaging in your headcanon. There are places that he can go to deal with this. And going on YouTube and like complaining about censorship is not it. This isn't what censorship is. This is you forcing your view of the world on on the creators of something. Yeah. It would be like having a go at like J.K. Rowling about the fact that Harry and Hermione should have got together instead of Ron and Hermione.
But Hermione and Ron and Harry should have got together.
Yeah, even Rowling's admitted to that one because apparently, that was an oversight.
I mean, J.K. Rowling has rewritten so much about those books in the years since that like reading the books is like. Anyway, we're getting completely off topic before I start.
It's not as bad as George Lucas and Star Wars, but let's focus on this. There are places that this person could go to get his kicks. There are games which
have waifus in them. There was a game in the top 10 of Steam actually last week, which is basically a hentai sex game. I was reading a story about it.
Fair enough. You can get these. I was going to make a joke about going to a website which specializes in those sort of games. But yeah,
like Steam.
Like Steam's got you covered.
Like Steam specializes in these kinds of games.
Steam has I don't actually have a problem with people playing those sorts of games.
I don't give a shit. No, like whatever. Like you do you. Just.
But yeah, don't have a go at the people who make games that you can't engage in this behavior in them.
Yeah,
that's not cool. And yeah, it's totally unprofessional that this guy came back like it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah, sure. Wheels. As is known, that you probably shouldn't have called him a dickhead. Like when he was signing off the stream, like regardless of whether he's a dickhead or not. But
there's no problem. Like he shouldn't have. It's his personal opinion. Apparently we have games agree with that. Like
I agree with the opinion. I mean, I've never seen Arch Warhammer. I've never heard of him before a day. but I've read 2 paragraphs about like the content that you. Anyone who like as soon as you talk about SJWs ruining something, you've lost me, because you're a moron. Like, oh, the SJWs are ruining Three Kingdoms. No, the developers are just making the game they want to make. Mm-hmm. Like,
I mean, sometimes I will go as far as listening to whatever their like point is about it. So it's like, if it's like, oh, because of this SJWs, they're removing the word, like this word from like a 3 centuries-year-old book because it's no longer appropriate. I might be able to understand your point, because I do know of books where the word referring to black people.
No, because you see,
that's been taken out.
No, I get it.
And we like,
I'm not going to counter that point.
Not in this. That not in this.
It's the language.
No point in this.
It's the language I'm countering. There's certain phrases and words that certain type of person says. SJW, virtue signaling, censorship, shill. Like, if a person uses that combination of words in like a paragraph or a video, I know everything I need to know that I'm not going to listen to them. Like, and that might sound closed-minded. Like, and yes, I do pride myself on being open-minded, but at the end of the day, like, if you're using those types of words in that type of context, you have a specific set of you have a specific viewpoint, and I don't want to engage with you. Because I've done that in the past, and I've always come away like frustrated, angry. Like, no one's like it. He's a dickhead, basically.
So now that we're going to get even more angry comments, but this time from the Free Kingdom lot. How about we go to games of the week?
Games of the week.
Out this week. Okay.
I mean, we started this fucking podcast about people being harassed on online gaming, and I'm wearing a transgender pride shirt. We were gonna get hit no matter what from these people, so we might as well double down on it. Anyway, Keith, games out this week. Go for it.
Okay, so first off, we have a game I kind of already thought was out and had been out for a long time. We have apparently the official PC launch of Oxygen Not Included, which comes out on July the 30th. On the same day as Murphy's Law, also on PC, and Forager on PS4 and Switch. Oh, there's also the Blackout Club, which comes out on PS4 and Xbox One. On the 1st of August, we have Amsterdam on PC, Switch, Android, and iOS. On the 2nd, we have 2 games, starting off with Madden NFL 20, which will be a massively selling game, but not one I'm personally interested in. I don't believe Amy is either. But we do have also coming out that day, The Church in the Darkness on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, which I imagine is going to get snowed under by people buying Madden instead.
Nah, Madden's like a specific type of audience. It's a lot like Jump Force. Like, we knew Jump Force was going to sell well because people were going to buy it over all of the other bigger games because it had a dedicated audience. Madden has a dedicated audience. Like, anyone who's not interested in American football or sports sim games will look at all the other stuff that's coming out. What it's going to get snowed under by is the fact that Fire Emblem is still out and it's like a 100-hour game.
It's like Mario Maker 2 is out. Well, like Fire Emblem, like 3 hours is out. Okay. I
mean, literally, like, I've rage quit from Wolfenstein. Like we were talking about. And so now it's just me going to be bouncing between Mario Maker 2 and Fire Emblem. Yes, like I'll make a video of Fire Emblem, but I'm gonna keep playing the fucking thing because I'm gonna be hooked on like finishing them. It's gonna be one of the games that I actually finish this year. But on that list, I mean, yeah, the Blackout Clubs interests me, but I made it an indie game of the week when it got announced because it sounded really cool, and I haven't seen anything about it since. Like, I know it's been in early access for a bit, but I haven't checked it out, so I don't really have much to say about the new games out this week.
No.
Except that Amsterdam is about a kung fu fighting hamster, so yeah. Game of the week.
I read the name and I thought that's going to be a game that I actually like. I don't know what it's about or what sort of game it is, but I just know from the name
It was on the Kind of Funny Games showcase at E3. Because I remember, that's why I know it's a Kung Fu hamster game. Anyway, that's going to do it for episode 168 of the Words About Gamescast. Unless you can think of any other ways we can piss off alt-right YouTubers, Redditors, 4chaners, as much as we have already.
No, I did think about screaming. You've been copyrighted on YouTube.
Trans rights. There we go. I did it. Yeah.
I know it's like a pretty easy way to piss off a YouTuber, just going, yeah, you've been copyrighted on that.
Yeah.
No. That's not so much anger at us, it's just like that dreaded, fuck.
Yeah. Like, damn it! Like, it brings back all the memories of all the emails. Like, all the ones I got after E3.
Amy has been triggered.
Say bye, Keith.
Bye-bye.